City Council votes against the recommended discipline for Councillor Rajni Agarwal. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Councillor Rajni Agarwal will not be removed from the Fort William BIA board, despite that recommendation from Thunder Bay's Integrity Commissioner.
According to their report, Agarwal was found to be rude and caused 3 other board members to resign because of her conduct. But council decided to go a different route, rather than imposing a punishment. It's the second Integrity Commissioner report to come to council since November regarding the same individual.
I don't sit there to take a seat or to put a feather in my cap. I sit there to help.
The report is in relation to Councillor Rajni Agarwal's demeanor as a Fort William BIA board member, which the Integrity Commission found to be rude, abrasive, and disruptive. The report said that led to 3 board members stepping down. While the Integrity Commissioner was recommending Agarwal be removed from the board, the BIA said it wanted to keep her on it. Council opted instead to look at education opportunities for Agarwal. Councillor Mark Benz was in favor of that option, saying he understands firsthand the challenges of being a newer councillor.
I can speak from experience. When I was first elected, I wasn't quite sure of my role, and I likely overstepped my boundaries often.
The clerk's office will now bring back possible education options during the April 8th meeting. Councillor Shelby Chung felt this could prevent these issues from continuing.
I think some training is necessary, and hopefully it'll help mitigate things like this in the future, because we really do not have the time or resources to be spending on this in the future.
Councillor Andrew Folds voted against the education, believing the commissioner's findings were clear.
We just heard the Integrity Commissioner say that beyond a reasonable doubt that these actions took place. Not just a balance of probabilities. And what we saw is a mass resignation of individuals.
Agarwal took the chance to defend herself, recognizing the challenges the Fort William BIA has faced in the past, but stressing the positive direction she and the other members are moving in now.
If anybody else wishes to take that position on and help them and beautify that area so it is on the doorstep of our City Hall, I welcome them to do so. It's a concern of mine, and I hope to make a little bit of a difference. And this board that we have right now is a phenomenal, hard-working board.
The previous Integrity Commissioner report in November was related to a rude gesture Agarwal made during an argument with 2 citizens, with council opting to dock her 30 days' pay. Also during last night's meeting, City Council agreed to push back the date for a final report on the proposed indoor turf facility, but staff remain confident this won't impact when shovels can get in the ground. Delaying the final report was the result of poor soil conditions discovered at the proposed site next to the community auditorium. It means a deeper foundation is required at an additional cost of $600,000. City Engineering Director Kayla Dixon says the delay won't change the start date of construction, which is planned for the summer of 2025. Dixon explains administration's role before the final report comes back in June.
Council has asked for public engagement, so we do still have some stakeholder engagement to organize. As well, we'll be continuing with preliminary design work to confirm the impacts of the geotechnical and environmental assessment that was completed. And we also have some financial analysis that's required to look at the operating impacts of that facility.
The budget increase due to the soil conditions brings the estimated price tag to more than $38.6 million.
The Thunder Bay Police Board is looking to hire a second deputy police chief. The local police force has traditionally just had one deputy chief, but that will no longer be the case.
Also at today's meeting, police board members said farewell to Malcolm Mercer, the administrator appointed on the run to run the board in 2022, following some turbulent times. Ned Van Pelt has the details.
Following a recommendation to hire a second deputy chief of police, a job posting is officially out and the hiring process has started. The board had discussions with Chief Darcy Fleury on what this structure would look like, and it was determined that it would be a deputy of administration who can focus on some of the bigger things and take some items off of the chief's plate. This was supported by the board and the governance committee. Board chair Karen Machado spoke about the reasoning behind the decision.
I think it's all about workload as well. What the specific recommendation dealt with Indigenous populations and a focus on, and their focus being that. The chief in his presentation determined that he felt that that function, the Indigenous community and the relationship building, would be best in his role as the chief, so, start from the top.
Applicants must apply by April 5th. Meanwhile, as the board looks to add another leader to the team, they are losing one in Malcolm Mercer. He was appointed as administrator of the police board 2 years ago, following a series of controversies and external probes involving the police force and the board. Mercer had the only vote on the board until the end of June 2023, when it was decided the board members earned their votes back. He believes he's leaving the board in a better place.
What I consciously would say is that there has been progress, success in a society, in a community like Thunder Bay, which has generations of history leading to the current realities, will take generations to achieve.
Machado says the board is very grateful for all of the knowledge and support Mercer passed on to them during his time as administrator. She believes they are ready to move on and won't find themselves in that position again.
If we do struggle, that we can work collaboratively and cohesively to move those items forward. There are going to be various opinions, so we need to be able to communicate openly and effectively. The focus and the structure will still be on the board, the policies that we need to do, the recommendations that are out there, so that we don't fall into that position again.
Nev Van Pelt, TBT News.
With just over a month to provide their say on whether they support a nuclear waste site nearby, residents of Ignace can now have a look at exactly what they would be agreeing to. The municipality signed an agreement with Canada's Nuclear Waste Management Organization at a special council meeting last night, which could be worth as much as $170 million over the next 170 years. Ignace Mayor Kim Bakery and WMO President Lori Swamy signed the potential host agreement. It details the terms each party would agree to if Ignace agrees to host the site and is selected. It also establishes a project framework for more than a century of expected activity. Council unanimously supported the agreement, which includes direct payments that could be paid to Ignace over the project lifespan if everything moves forward. The township also anticipates billions in indirect economic impact from the construction of the $26 billion project.
The people they're going to need at the, to build this, they're going to train our people. It is for our people. They're going to train for our people, whether it's Wabigoon people or people from Ignace. They're going to train the employees they need. That's the benefit.
The role I think this agreement will play is really to demonstrate the commitment. This is the document that holds the NWMO and the township accountable for those commitments to each other going forward.
The full 80-page agreement, as well as a summary, are available on the township's website, and there will be a chance to ask questions at an informational event on April 12th and 13th. Ignace residents have until April 30th to weigh in before council makes its decision. The agreement includes a $500,000 incentive for the municipality if they confirm the conclusion of the willingness process by June 30th.
At Queen's Park, the Ontario Liberals are trying to change gears.
But there are lingering questions about new leader Bonnie Cromby's pledge that she won't support a carbon tax. Siobhan Morris brings us the details.
From an agricultural conference in London, the Premier continues to rail against the federal carbon tax.
I don't know what the guy's smoking up there, but it's not beneficial. It hurts people. It is now time for...
In question period 2, Progressive Conservatives had a singular focus.
The federal carbon tax.
Their upcoming carbon tax increase.
The carbon tax.
The people of Ontario have had enough of this carbon tax.
Scrap the tax. It's a bunch of baloney, Mr. Speaker.
It comes as the Ontario Liberal leader has taken the possibility of a carbon tax off the table in building her climate change policy.
We will make polluters pay, but we won't add additional tax burden to Ontarians because we know they can't handle more taxes at this time.
Cromby won't explicitly say whether the federal Liberals' policy has been a mistake. if she thinks they should cancel a planned carbon tax hike April 1st.
I'm not here to tell them how to do their job. I'm here to create a plan that's right for Ontarians.
We couldn't get an answer again out of the queen of the carbon tax.
With the PCs urging Cromby to push her federal cousins to make a change.
It's her job, it's our job in the Ontario legislature to represent the people of Ontario.
The Liberals found the question period performance revealing.
The government is bereft of ideas. The only thing they've got is attack, and if you listen to question period, all they talk about is carbon tax.
Rather than the issues they're being challenged on.
They don't talk about 2 million Ontarians that don't have a family dog. They don't talk about people having to pull out their credit card.
Take a question about seniors facing climbing rent.
While the living conditions in their building keep getting worse.
What is causing grief for tenants is the cost of everything, and the cost of everything is tied to the carbon tax, Mr. Speaker.
The Liberals have established a panel to come up with a climate policy before the next election. Bonnie Cromby says that could include reviving cap and trade in Ontario if the Trudeau Liberals lose their next election. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Hospital officials in the Northwest are calling for another extension to provincial funding that helps smaller hospitals avoid temporary ER closures. The temporary LCOM program was started during the pandemic and pays physicians from Southern Ontario a premium for temporary work placements at rural and northern hospitals. The program was supposed to expire last September, but was extended until March 31st. With that date quickly approaching, Lake of the Woods Hospital CEO Ray Reset says their emergency room can't operate without locums.
This is the only way we can stay open, and even what, like our physicians, even though they're about 50% short, they're still picking up at least 70% of the volume, but they just can't stretch farther and pick up the full 100. So we really need locums now.
Reset says he's heard rumblings that the locum program will be extended, but he says it's very difficult to make staffing plans for the next few months until the Ford government makes an official announcement. The issue was raised at Queen's Park today by Kiiwetinoong MPP Sol Mamakwa.
Northern Ontario hospitals have been struggling to keep their emergency room doors open for years now. The program that allows them to hire locum doctors from Southern Ontario as a temporary fix is coming to an end. What is this government going to do to make sure our ERs in the north stay open?
Without a doubt, it has been a program that has had value. We are in active conversations with the Ontario Hospital Association and the Ontario Medical Association to see how we can come forward with a more permanent solution, but I will keep the member updated because it is an important issue.
A Northside bar and restaurant has raised a lot of money for the Dewdrop Inn. A check for $5,000 was presented to the local soup kitchen today by officials from the Social. Staff at Dawson Road establishment spent all of February raising money through the sale of their popular smash burgers. $4 from every burger sale went towards the Dewdrop Inn, and 292 burgers were sold during the campaign. Staff at the Social also made donations to the cause, along with other supporting businesses. Dewdrop Inn Executive Director Michael Kibel says the big donation will help them serve around 2,000 meals.
This is how we feed the hungry in Thunder Bay with the community support. So bottom line is we could not offer a good meal daily without this support. So we really depend on it and rely on it, and the support from the community has been amazing.
We have amazing patrons that come here, everybody that's supported us, and I just felt like it was nice to do something back for the community. I know the Dewdrop Inn does amazing work. They, they work very, very hard to help feed people, and that's kind of what we do here too, is feed people.
Now, Hot Weather Haley, I gotta say, that namesake, I'm not really feeling it in the community the last few days with those colder temperatures, those winds kicking in.
Well, you know, Vasilios, I like to say sometimes you don't feel the heat in the sky or in the temperature, but in your heart.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get on that angle with things here. So, it is the first day of spring, and it's certainly not looking or feeling like it. But, spring also makes you think of Easter time. So egg-shaped things, our high today was 0. That's another bit of a stretch there, but I'm trying my best. Our low was only -4. That was quite early this morning. And we saw overnight snow end around 4 a.m. But then we got some sporadic light flurries popping back up again around 1 in the afternoon. And that's continued on up until now. And we've started to see progressive winds throughout the day as well. We started out low when it was more from the west at only 3 kilometers an hour, but now we're seeing around 51 kilometers an hour at certain gusty moments coming from the northwest. And that'll be the trend as we move on this evening. And as we look at the light snow that I was mentioning, we have a little bit of a system sprinkling in. It's almost like it's sweeping through from the west down closer to Lake Superior. But what I really want to draw your attention to is this larger system that's spiraling more towards the east. And we'll see trends of that tonight as well. So when we look at our regional map, light snow was seen all day in Red Lake and even blowing at times with that northwest wind, but things have cleared up at this hour and now they're just seeing mostly cloudy skies. Fort Frances is overcast as well, seeing lots of clouds, but -5 right now. We see the trend of -9 continuing on through Kenora, Sioux Lookout, and into Armstrong. Greenstone, because they're more on the eastern side of things, they will be seeing snow right now and throughout the evening, but they're currently at -7. We see a matching pair of -5s in Nipigon and Marathon right now, and then snow continuing on down in Sault Ste. Marie as well, as they're at -4 right now. So we're seeing a lot of snow on the east side, things clearing up on the west side, and we'll see things drop quite drastically this evening as well. As we look at Thunder Bay's temperature tonight, we're expected to drop down to -14, feeling like -20 with the wind chill. Mainly cloudy. We'll still have a 40% chance of flurries as well, but most likely light and sporadic. So it's not the greatest news for the first day of spring, that's for sure, but hopefully I'll have some things to brighten it up later.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Haley. It definitely doesn't feel like spring. It feels like the first day of winter, because we really haven't seen it.
Well, we have not.
That's Thunder Bay weather for you, for sure. Thank you so much. Well, when we come back, we will shift our attention to Ottawa, where members of the public were able to say their final farewells to Canada's 18th Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney. We'll have more on that as your Tuesday News Hour continues.
He established trust with leaders around the world, and in doing so, exemplified the soft power of Canada.